Today is December 26th, 2018. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Scott Harris in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Sir, where were you born?
I was born in Buffalo, New York, Erie County,
And when's your birthday?
17 August, 1975.
1975. Who is your father?
Phil Harris,
Phil Harris. And your mother?
Betty Lou Harris,
What was her maiden name?
Freeheit,
Free?
F-R-E-I-H-E-I-T.
Okay. Did you go through school in Buffalo?
No. My dad was a preacher, and so I spent most of my time growing up in Kansas, graduated high school in Greeley, Colorado, and then came to Bartlesville for college at Bartlesville Wesleyan College, and got a Bachelor in Math and Business Administration from them.
What year you graduated high school?
1993.
1993. And you came to Bartlesville from the Wesleyan University?
Sir.
Okay. Why'd you come here?
I have family ties.
Okay.
I was third generation alumni for Bartlesville Wesleyan College, back when it used to be Miltonville Wesleyan College up in Kansas. And grandmother and both my folks, and then all the siblings have all, and cousins have all gone through
Okay.
Wesleyan.
In your schooling, who was your favorite teacher?
Jim Leininger was the favorite professor.
Jim
Leininger.
Leininger. Why was he your favorite?
He was my academic advisor. He was head of the math department, and when I first started off, I was going for a mechanical engineering degree, planning on spending 2 years at Wesleyan and then going up to University of Wyoming. And he took the role of academic advisor seriously, and just kind of became a mentor, and made sure I had everything I needed for prepare me for mechanical engineering. And when that didn't work out, I came back to Wesleyan, and the number of times that we had classes that I would sign up for a math class, and it would be he and I, and differential equations when we first had the first class, trying to figure out where I needed to sit in the classroom, and it was just he and I. And after 2 sessions, he's like, "Do you mind if we just meet in my office?" And so we started doing all the classes in his office instead of in the actual classroom. But I think I had about 3 or 4 math classes where there may have been 2 other students, and it may just be myself. So we had a lot of interesting times, but probably one of the best rook players I've ever played with, and just had a lot of fun.
Did you play sports in high school?
I did. I played football and wrestled all 4 years, and then played soccer when I got into to Wesleyan for the first couple years.
What did you do for recreation in high school?
Hunt, fish, played sports, lifted weights, worked on cars.
Okay. This is in Greeley?
Mostly was in Kansas City,
Okay.
in Overland Park, and then we moved to Greeley right before my senior in high school.
Okay. Okay. What did you do after high school?
Worked construction and went to school.
Okay.
Crammed 4 years of college into 5, and graduated a double major in math and business administration.
You work construction. Who'd you work for?
In Bartlesville, I worked for Victor Jones and Cadet Auden for Auden Landscaping Construction.
Okay.
And but Victor Jones is an old family friend, and did a lot of work for him.
Okay. Now, when did you get your degree? What year?
1998.
1998. What did you do after you got your degree?
What every business major needs to do. I went to work for a bank, and spent 9 months working at West Star Bank in a management training program, and quickly realized that I was not a banker. I wasn't ready to sit in an office in Oklahoma. I kind of wanted to go experience other things.
So what'd you do?
I enlisted in the Marine Corps.
When did you join the Marines?
I joined. I started talking to the recruiter through Business After Hours with the Better Business Bureau, and became good friends with the with Sergeant Allen, who's a recruiter, and then in January '99, I started talking to him seriously. Went to MEPS, and then shipped off to boot camp February 1st, 1999.
Why did you join the Marines over the Army, Navy, or the Air Force?
Professionalism. You never walk into the recruiter's office and find it a mess. You never talk to a recruiter and didn't have a feeling that he had all his ducks in a row. Mm-hmm. And the few interactions I had with the Marines, growing up in the Midwest, you don't have a whole lot of them around. And so a lot of it was dads when we were playing football. We had a strength training coach in high school that was a retired sergeant major, and the way they carried themselves, the professionalism they had, it was always just head and shoulders above. You never saw weakness. You never saw being overwhelmed, and just really appreciated the aura they always gave off, and out of seeing all the services, and having friends that enlisted and everything. The ones that went through the Marine Corps always came back with their head just a little bit higher than everybody else.
And where'd you go for boot camp?
MCRD San Diego.
San Diego. Okay. Tell me about boot camp.
So I was one of the older guys in our platoon, platoon 2034, and Senior Drill Sergeant, Staff Sergeant Bullard.
What's his name?
Staff Sergeant Bullard.
Okay.
We had Staff Sergeant Bullard, Staff Sergeant Weiss, Staff Sergeant Green, and I can't remember the fourth gentleman's name. Can picture him clear as day. The funny part was being older and being a little more mature than a lot of them. Knowing that it was only going to be 13 weeks, you kind of mentally prepare yourself a little bit. I guess as much as you can ever prepare yourself for the chaos of boot camp. Sitting out there getting thrashed in the sand pits or going through whatever extra training we need at the time, and being able to sit up there and look at the wind blowing through the tops of the palm trees, and it's Southern California, so it was always nice, calm, cool, and even when it was hot, it was still beautiful. And then you went up to Edson Range for third phase, and you started walking up all the hills, and you realized that even as beautiful it was, it would just crush you. But had a lot of fun. Had a lot of times looking back on that. You realize that the stresses and the way that you walk in there, and the first hour, everybody goes from whoever they were as an individual to being stripped down, head shaved, and all of a sudden you're wearing all the same tighty whities and green sweatpants, and you can't tell one from the other really for the first week, and kind of strip away all identity you had before you walked in there, and you go from thinking you know everything and living by yourself and having a pretty good sense that you had everything under control, to being told that you can't even put your socks on right. So the way that they build you down or break you down and then build you back up was pretty interesting the whole way through.
What are the yellow footprints?
Getting from the airport to MCRD San Diego, for sharing a back fence. I think they take every back road they possibly could and make it as long of a bus ride as they possibly can. And sitting there with your head down, not having a clue. And the first thing that happens when you pulled into to MCRD, the bus comes to a stop. A drill instructor walks on and gives you a very firm instruction about, you will exit this bus and you will stand on my yellow footprints and we'll give you directions. And then all chaos breaks loose, and you go, and they put you into your first formation, standing with your feet at 45 on yellow footprints, and they read you Article 89, Article 91, and kind of walk you through your first introduction to the UCMJ, and and how you no longer have the authority to talk back, to disobey orders, and you will not go anywhere other than where you're told to go. And that all happens as you're standing there in the yellow footprints, and then the world goes into further chaos from there.
What type of training did you have in boot camp?
As far as they teach you how to be a Marine. They walk you through. They teach you how to drill, how to march, how to break down and clean and reassemble an M16. They teach you military history and military law, and walk through all the basic, and teach you how to shoot a rifle with open sights, and wear a uniform, and how to do everything the proper way, I guess.
You go on bivouac?
We did. Phase 3, you're out in the woods. When you're out at Edson Range, you learn how to put up shelter house back then, and you spend, I don't know, 3 weeks, I guess, learning. That's when you go through the rifle range. You set up tents. You live out in the field for a couple nights. You do back then. General Kulak was instituting the Crucible, and so you spent 3 days on an MRE and a half, and I think we walked 62 miles or so, and you culminate at the top of the mountain at sunrise, and have a e-globe and anchor ceremony. And the first time that you're called a Marine, and you get your e-globe and anchor, and you kind of celebrate from there.
You get your
e-globe and anchor, the Marine Corps album.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What's your most vivid memory of boot camp?
Probably during the last week we were there. We had Staff Sergeant Weiss was our senior greenbelt drill instructor, and he every time we were out marching around, if we had some of the other broken recruits or somebody that wasn't actually in training, he'd always stop the platoon and make them go chase seagulls off of the parade deck, or chase them around. And so for 12 weeks at that point, whenever we saw seagulls, Staff Sergeant Weiss made sure somebody went and chased seagulls off of his recruit depot. And we thought it was just a way that he was messing with us. And sure enough, the last week we were there, we're marching down the main street, and we're done with the Crucible, so we're officially Marines, and looking all spiffy and squared away, and walking down the main street, and all of a sudden he stops the platoon, and he disappears inside one of the buildings right there. He comes back out with a Smoky Bear in his hands, and he's kind of drying it off, and he pulls the platoon into a school circle, and he's like, "You see this right here?" And he points to a wet spot on a Smoky Bear. And he goes, "This is why I hate seagulls." And evidently the man got pooped on by seagulls several times during the time that he was a drill instructor down there, and just had a vivid hatred for it. And all at once the platoon knew exactly why he made people chase off all of the seagulls off of his recruit depot. And couldn't happen to a nicer guy watching him get pooped on by a seagull.
So after boot camp, where'd you go?
After boot camp, you spend 17 days at Santa Onofre up in the northern part of Camp Pendleton for MCT.
Camp Pendleton?
Yeah, and Marine combat training, and that's where you learn to fire all the crew-served weapons. And back then, 17 days, 14 of it spent out in the field, and you get 10 days of boot leave after boot camp, and then you fly back into San Diego and get bussed up to, or maybe flew into to Los Angeles, and then got bussed up to Camp Pendleton, and roll right in. Spent 14 days in the field, learning all the basic combat elements of, like I say, crew-served weapons, and patrolling, navigation, squad movements, and then from there I went to the East Coast and went to Camp Lejeune, to Courthouse Bay.
I'd like to ask, at Camp Pendleton, what crew serve weapons did you work on?
We shot 249s, 240s, the M2s, Mark 19s.
How many men in the crew of these weapons?
2 to 3, depending on the weapon.
Okay.
Usually had a machine gunner, an ammo carrier, and an A gunner that carried the tripod, or depending on how big of a weapon it was.
So what did you do at Camp Lejeune?
Camp Lejeune, I went to Courthouse Bay, which is the School of Engineering, and learned the trade of being a combat engineer.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time doing construction, demolition, and the functions of engineering as far as the Marine Corps is concerned.
Now, what does a combat engineer do?
We're kind of the jack of all trades, and we spent a lot of time learning basic construction, doing a lot of plywood construction, nothing detailed, and you didn't really learn how to do permanent construction, but more hasty, setting up a base camp, setting up a bivouac site, doing basic road repair, felling trees, and being able to make rough lumber construction type stuff, and then all the demolition stuff. Spend time with dynamite, C4, shape charges. You have a whole syllabus on landmines, anti-personnel, anti-tank, how to in-place them, and then also how to search for them and remove them, and dealing with booby-trapped landmines and all that kind of stuff.
What is a shape charge?
Shape charge takes a charge of like C4 plastic explosives, and by changing the shape of it, instead of just being a block, by making it a cone or a concave, or depending on what you're doing, when the explosion goes off, it controls the blast of it, and so you can take it and make it that much more effective. And you can take a relatively small amount of explosive, and instead of letting it just kind of blow up and do what it's doing, by controlling the explosion of it, will direct the charge, and you get that much more punch out of the kind of make it more efficient.
Okay. And you're at Camp Lejeune how long?
2.5 months, I guess.
2.5 months. Then where'd you go?
So I, to brag, I graduated top of the class in Courthouse Bay, and had started off as a contract PFC, and so I picked up meritorious Lance Corporal, and left Camp Lejeune and went out to Okinawa, Japan, and checked into 9th ESB Alpha Company up at Camp Hansen on Okinawa.
What company?
Alpha Company.
Alpha Company. Is that part of a division?
We're part of the 9th Engineer Support Battalion, which is part of the 3rd FSSG, Fleet Service Support Group, which has now been renamed to Marine Logistics Group,
Okay.
MLG.
Okay. How'd you get to Okinawa?
I got a chance to spend about a week at home with my folks in Colorado, and then caught the Freedom Bird that takes off at midnight out of Seattle, and loads up all the service members and some of their families, and flies from Seattle, Washington to mainland Japan through Sasebo, and then, or not Sasebo, one of the Air Force bases up there, and then down into to Okinawa to land there middle of the day. And
When you were leaving Seattle, flying out, what were you thinking?
I was excited. I joined the Marine Corps mainly because when I was working at a bank, kind of looking at all the options I had in life, and the biggest thing was I didn't want to wake up when I was 40 regretting it. I'd always been intrigued by the Marine Corps. when I was in high school metal shop, during a forging lesson, we made forges of an eagle-globe anchor, and had an aluminum eagle-globe anchor that I mounted on a walnut and cherry backing board that made in wood shop, and had it hanging in my room for the whole time growing up, and just was always kind of intrigued on it, and knowing that a 4-year enlistment, the advantages of it, being able to go out and see the world, experience everything, and then just kind of see if I personally had what it took to be able to gut it out or whatever. And so when I got on the plane in Seattle, I was excited. When we were given our choices of places to duty stations coming out of engineering school, they always kind of go from the top down, and so I had first choice, and I had choice between staying at Camp Lejeune or going back out to Camp Pendleton, or going over to Okinawa. It's like you don't get a chance to go live in Okinawa, Japan, and I jumped on that opportunity and was just excited to go experience what the Japanese culture had, and see that side of the world, and be able to experience it.
Where were you based in Okinawa?
We were based at Camp Hansen, which is about halfway up the island.
Okay. Is that near, is it Nara? Is that the capital?
Naha?
Yeah, Naha, yes.
Naha's down on the southern tip. You have
Okay.
Naha on the southern tip, and the island's kind of shaped like a Y. And on the offshoot that comes back to the west, that's the big city of Nago.
Okay.
And between Nago and Naha is kind of where all the population is, and in between there, the Marine Corps base on Okinawa is kind of broken up into like 8 or 10 different camps.
Okay.
And with Camp Foster being the main area, that's where the headquarters for First Marine Aircraft Wing was, and then the Marine Division is up at Camp Schwab, which is north of Camp Hansen, and FSSG was all the way down at Camp Kinzer, which is just north of Naha, and in between there you have Camp Courtney, Camp Kinzer, Camp Foster, Camp Hansen, Camp Schwab, a couple other ones.
Okay. What did you do in Okinawa?
So the majority of the time I was there, I actually got sent on a building project, since I was one of the few guys in our company that actually had some pretty good construction background. We went to Kadena Air Force Base and built a mobility processing center, which was they call it a K-span. It's kind of like a big Quonset hut that you build on site, and so they brought in a ABM, automatic building machine, that was just a big trailer-mounted tool, and they would bring in rolls of steel that were about 3 foot in width, and you could roll the pieces into a channel the length that you needed them, and then come back and bend the arc that you needed, and then we'd stack them up, and you run a seaming machine so that they all interlock, and then you can take and stand them up, and then you seam them all together, and so it was just a continuous piece, but the whole building could shift, and so it was rated to 200 knot winds, and while we were there building it, we watched it withstand a couple of typhoons, and then going back later on, the same building was sitting there standing after some super typhoons rolled through the area that ended up being about 100 foot by 200 foot building, and big enough that you could take a whole battalion, put them through there, and have a place where they're outside the elements, to go through and do last minute gear checks and inventories and all that kind of stuff, to get them out the door, since everything rolls through Kadena Air Force Base to go on deployment. They gave a place, because otherwise you'd have to sit out there on the tarmac, out in the sun and the rain and whatever else, and that's no way to start off deployment.
Had any contact with the local people in Okinawa?
All the time.
What was their reaction to you?
About 95% of them loved the Marine Corps, loved the U.S. I was there over Y2K, and actually my dad came out and joined me for New Year's, and going through Y2K, we took a couple of days and just went out and saw the island. And one of the taxi cab drivers we had talked to us about his experience during World War II. And he was a child, and everything that he knew was that the Americans were coming, and all the terror that came with that, and then the first Marines and soldiers rolled off, and they walked through handing out Hershey candy bars and food to all the locals, and they kind of realized that the propaganda was alive and well, and the number of them that hate having the military there just because the spoils of war, if you want to call them. We definitely have bases in some of the prime real estate on the island, and the location of the bases and the number of people we have there, and like the air bases that generate a lot of noise, and just kind of the way that is. They would like to have that area back. At least a couple people up in mainland Japan like to rattle sabers and make everybody mad, but you'd see it where they'd have picket lines out in front of the other bases, and when you're walking through, the first time pulling up to a picket line, seeing them, and there are the signs of Americans go home, and then as you pull up there, they put the signs down and wave and bow and "Ohayou gozaimasu," good morning, and you'd wave at them, and they'd allow you to transition through there, and then you get on base and they go back to picking up their signs, and half them probably got paid by some political organization, and going out one of the first meals we went out to at Camp Hansen, went out and went snorkeling down in Kinred, and on the way back up, it's a nice big hill going back up to Camp Hansen, and there's a restaurant right on the right side coming up the hill, that's Kin Family Restaurant, and we walked in there, probably 4 of us or so, obviously not locals, and when we walked in there and sat down, and Mama-san came out and gave us the menus, and asked us what we wanted, and was very polite and cordial, and making sure that we got what we were looking for, and she laid out chopsticks, and then a couple minutes later, the Papa-san comes through and slaps the chopstick and is like, "No!" And we're like, "Okay, here's where it gets ugly," and he goes, "No chopsticks," and he takes out an old worn dime, and he slaps it down the table. He's like, "Pick up dime, use chopsticks." And you had to sit there and take chopsticks and pick up this old dime, and then he'd allow you to use chopsticks with your meal. And one of the guys in our group could never pick up the dime, and it kind of became a standing joke whenever we go in there because he couldn't pick up a dime, and so the guy would snatch his chopsticks from him and give him this old fork, and so he had to eat his Japanese meal with a fork. But it was just his way of when we first walked in there, we thought, okay, here it is, and he. Just a nice old guy that found humor in it, that we found humor in, and had a lot of fun picking up dimes.
Yeah. You were on Okinawa how long?
I was there for just over a year. When I checked in there, like I say, I had a college degree, and the company XO, when I checked in with him, he looked at my package, and he goes, "You need to submit an application for officer candidate school." I was like, "Sir, I don't know if I want to do that." And Lieutenant Northcutt looked at me and goes, "No, I think you want to do that." And he goes, "You're going on mess duty." It's like, okay. Everybody has to go do their time at mess duty. And he's like, "When your package is ready to go to be submitted, you'll come off mess duty." He's like, "Oh, so I have 30 days to get this package done?" He's like, "You have as much time as you want." And I quickly realized that he meant that I could spend the entire year on mess duty at Camp Hansen. And so I got my package together pretty quick, and just over the month mark, I got my package ready to submit, and went through that whole process, and so I got ready to leave Okinawa, actually PCS from Camp Hansen to Officer Candidate School.
And that was where? OCS?
Quantico, Virginia.
Quantico. Tell me about Quantico, OCS.
So when I submitted my package, they brought in an officer selection officer, OSO, from California to review all of our packages, and like I said, I was on mess duty at the time, and the battalion had to do the interview board and or the selection board, and so like I kept getting pulled away from mess duty to go do stuff for the package, and one of those was go stand in front of the battalion XO and 3 other officers from the battalion and answer all their questions and go through the board process, which they asked a number of just knowledge questions. They had me give a class, gave me 10 minutes to prepare a 5-minute class, and just to be able to verify speaking abilities, and then they asked me a lot of questions that didn't have answers to them, such things as what do you think of women in the military? It's like this could go either way, and evidently passed the board. And when my package got sent over to the OSO, it
To the what?
OSO, the officer selection officer.
Okay.
He was actually down at Camp Foster, which is about an hour drive from Camp Hansen, and the town sergeant major pulled me aside and was like, "You're going down there to interview with him," and he gave me the date and time, and he's like, "You put on your best camis, you be in the parking lot," and it was after lunch, and he was like, "You stand there, and there's going to be a staff sergeant that comes pick you up, and he'll give you a ride down there, or he'll give you a ride back." It's like, okay. And so I got off mess duty and went and got my best camis and stood in the parking lot, and sure enough, here comes a staff sergeant, and he was not too happy with me. I think he expected to go do his interview with the OSO and then be done for the day and not have to drive a snot-nosed Lance Corporal back and forth to Camp Hansen and add an extra 2 hours on his drive that day. And we go down to Camp Foster, and the captain that was doing it went through both of our packages, and as he's going through my package, he looked at it and goes, "Have you ever thought about being a pilot?" I was like, "I'd love to. I love aviation, but I didn't think I was qualified." He goes, "Well, allow them to tell you that." He's like, "All you need to do is take a test and get a physical and put in your package. Let him do it." Okay. And then he looks at the staff sergeant and goes, "Yeah, you're not qualified," and threw his package off to the side, which made for a very, very interesting drive all the way back up to Camp Hansen. Never did see that staff sergeant again, but he was not happy when I hopped out of his car. Didn't really have a whole lot of things to say the whole way back up there. But then, sure enough, when my package went through, they put an aviation contract in there, and so when I went into officer candidate school, I knew that I at least had a shot to go through Pensacola and at least try my hand at flight school, and that alleviates a lot of pressure going through officer candidate school. Quantico is an interesting animal. When you roll in there, it's night and day different from boot camp, even though it's the officer side of boot camp. Still have drill instructors, and instead of the breakdown and instruction all the way through, they expect you to know and figure things out. And when we first checked in, about half our company was prior enlisted, and the majority of the attrition that we had going through officer candidate school was kind of from mostly from the kids straight out of college, not so many of them from the enlisted ranks, and so we ended up finishing up mid 60 percentile for of prior enlisted compared to kids straight out of colleges. And Quantico is pretty rough terrain. It's hilly. The draws are pretty deep, and and they always kind of talk that if you can navigate your way around the woods of Quantico, you can navigate anywhere. And so during officer candidate school, you spend a little bit of time with a map and a compass, and they don't really instruct anything. There's some instruction, but really it was 10 weeks of evaluation, and when as opposed to walking into to boot camp where you walk in, they strip you down, and then they take everything away from you and they dress you up. We spent the first 2 or 3 days walking around in our slacks and collared shirts and tennis shoes, and walked around. We didn't really march, and we got all checked in and we got everything done, and then they kind of slowly transitioned us to wearing camis, and we spent a lot of days just kind of not necessarily the prim and proper side of the Marine Corps, but the evaluation of it. Like, do you have what it takes to be a leader of Marines? And so you have a lot of stress. In boot camp, you're guaranteed 8 hours of sleep a night. In officer candidate school, they don't guarantee anything. And after the third week, they started Triton guys, and maybe after the second week, they started Triton guys. And after the third week, you can start dropping on requests if you wanted to. And when we started, I think our platoon had like 70-something folks in it, and when we finished, we had like 30-something folks in it. And they kind of weed out. They weed out and they push to later classes, and guys got tried for all kinds of things. It seemed like some of them just didn't want to be there. Some of them did not have the basic leadership skills to be able to stand up there and direct Marines on what to do. Had one guy that decided he didn't want to be there, and we had weekend livo. So Saturday night to Sunday afternoon, you were just off. And one guy checked out on the libo log to California, and he never came back. And then one guy decided to falsify a logbook, and he was gone the next day. Integrity is kind of a huge issue for us. So,
what's your most vivid memory of Quantico?
Uniform inspection on it was probably week 3 or 4. It was right before one of the first Liberty periods, and Saturday mornings was always a physical fitness event, and my rack mate was Paul Harris, and he was a sergeant, I was a corporal, and we had a very good relationship the whole way through, and if somebody was running late, you could always, because we always had to mark all of our gear, so being able to just kind of take off the first couple initials and just stamp everything Harris, we could help each other out, getting everything marked for whatever we had going on, and just really did a good job looking it out for each other. We Saturday morning did an obstacle course that kind of wound its way through the woods of Quantico and ended up in the ford, which is a big pond. And so you rolled out into the pond, and you're waist deep or so in sandy muck, and then you come out of that, and you have to clean your weapon, you have to clean yourself up, and get on a presentable uniform, and then clean the whole squad bay. And we had a uniform inspection, and so as we're going through and doing that, Paul and I got everything all cleaned up, dried off, changed out of camis. And we got to the point where we're just kind of making sure that the last little bit of uniforms are all squared away and ready to go. And we look across, and the way that the squad bay was, there was only about maybe 5 or 6 feet between the end of a rack, a footlocker, the walkway, and then the next set of footlocker started. And so when you're standing there on line, you're only about maybe 5 or 6 feet away from the guy in front of you. And Paul and I kind of make sure everything's squared away, and we turn and look, and he goes, "Are you kidding me?" And standing across from us, we had Neely, O'Malley, and Outram. And Neely went to VMI, and we always called him Bad VMI because I don't know how he survived VMI. And sure enough, it's time to be standing there on line. Drill instructor walked down. I was like, 0, get on line. And Neely gets on line, and his uniform's buttoned, one button off. His trousers aren't done. He has one boot that's bloused, and the other one is rolled up around his knee almost. And his blouse is stuck down the front of his trousers, and he just grabs his cover and throws it on. And you stand there, and it's like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the most messed up uniform I've seen. And the drill instructor starts yelling at everybody, and you can definitely tell the guys that are prior enlisted that even though it was a short period of time, had enough time to get uniform squared away and at least make a decent attempt at being ready. And one of the drill instructors walks through and starts making fun of everybody's breath, and he starts ranting on a guy that had pretty bad breath, and kept talking about dragon breath. And Jeb Outram was a kid from South Dakota, and he thought that was funny, and so he starts giggling. And like anything else, once you're in a stressful situation, you start giggling, you're not going to stop. And so he's giggling. Paul's standing next to me, and he's kind of just talking underneath his breath, like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" And Outram's giggling, and we're looking at Neely, who is obviously messed up, and we're trying to find a place in the wall just to stare and kind of remove yourself from the situation because these two are not helping it out. And then I can't remember the kid's name in the middle now. Neely Outram and not O'Malley, but something kind of like that. And he's standing there, tall, goofy kid, and he kind of does stifles a laugh, and in the process of that blows a big snot bubble that's the size of a golf ball, and it stays there. And Paul and I are beside ourselves, like, seriously, this is what you three give us? So we had to do the rest of this inspection looking at these three, and I don't think I don't think he quit laughing the entire time. He was just giggling the entire inspection, and drill instructors were throwing things and yelling at people, and the fact that Paul and I survived that and passed the inspection, we were able to go out on Libo for the night. We're like, you guys are a wreck. And I'll never forget that uniform inspection.
So from Quantico, where'd you go?
Quantico, from there I went down to Pensacola to flight school. Okay. And the flight school, everybody starts off going through API, Aviation Pre-Flight Indoctrination. And you spend maybe 2 months going through, and you learn basic aerodynamics, basic engine functions, basic navigation, like aerial navigation. You do the swim qual.
The what?
Swim qual. Since naval aviation is always shipboard based, they go through and do drown proofing, and like at one point you swim a mile in the pool. You go through the dunker. You get drugged through the water in a parachute. You have to get out of the harness. Kind of basic water survival. At one point they dump you all out in Pensacola Bay, and you sit there and float. And then they bring a helicopter by and drop a hoist down, pick you up, and then drop it back down. And kind of walk through everything to make sure that if you have to bail out of your aircraft over water, that you can survive. And so you spend all that kind of time doing that. But we finished up Quantico, and actually from Quantico you do officer candidate school, and then you roll into 6 months as a basic school, and that's where they actually teach you how to be a Marine Corps officer.
Now, when did you get your commission?
I got my commission December 15th, 2000. Okay. Not quite 2 years after enlisting in the Marine Corps. Okay. And then from there, rolled into the basic school, TBS, and that was 6 months. You do in-depth navigation. They give you a handful of grid points, and you got to plot them on your map and then go find them. And you literally walk through the woods looking for an ammo can on a fence pole, and you have to write down the number of that and then go back and verify where they were. And some guys can navigate pretty good. Some guys couldn't find the way out of the woods if you gave them a bright shining light to lead them. And you did basic leadership stuff. The Marine Corps is broken up into about 23 different fields: administrative, logistics, engineering field, artillery, infantry. And as you go through, you have a module on each one of those. So all of the lieutenants out there get at least a taste of all the different fields, and have an idea how everything kind of works together. And then as you go through, you're graded on everything, whether it's academics or whether it's leadership skills, navigation, physical fitness, all that kind of stuff. Down to your rifle and pistol score counting to that. And then they take the whole class and they break it into thirds. And so you have your top third, your middle third, and your bottom third. And when you go through and do selection, you pretty much walk in based off of where you are in the class standing. And the first guy in the top third gets his choice of everything out there. And then the second guy gets everything except for what the first guy chose, and on down there. And they kind of break it up by thirds so that if you have 30 slots for infantry officers, 10 go to the top third, 10 go to the middle third, 10 go to the bottom third, so that you get a kind of a quality control spread. So not all your good guys end up as infantry guys, and all your bad guys end up as whatever the worst MOS out there is. And you go through and you select it so that way you have a little bit of say in what your job is, and you have some motivation to do as well as you can. And it kind of also screws you, because if you're the bottom guy in the top third, the guy below you actually got his first choice, whereas you got what was left over. But all of us aviation contracts were kind of pulled out of that, so we all knew that we were going down to Pensacola, and our fates would be decided going through flight school. But that was kind of the entire time in Quantico, and then rolled into to flight school, and I was down there for September 11th. We were actually instructing at the lead program, which took a handful of us officers are waiting for flight school as pilots, and a bunch of the enlisted Marines straight out of boot camp, and took them and put them in a classroom situation, and we taught them 5 of the MCIs, part of the professional military education that the enlisted Marines need to get promoted, and by having it taught by a instructor, it counted for them until they're eligible for corporal. Otherwise, every time you get promoted, that zeroes out. And we taught them personal finance, basic counseling, math for Marines. Can't remember what else we taught them, but there's like I say, I think there's 5 modules that we taught them, and it was a bunch of us brand new second lieutenants that really didn't know anything else, but I could teach basic math, and we could all teach personal finances, and we walked through, and we also had that was like right when the Marine Corps was going to the Marine Corps Martial Arts program, and so we all got our gray belts going through doing martial arts there, and did some patrolling exercises, and we had a bunch where we got paintball guns and went and played and did like urban combat operations in some of the old buildings there with paintball guns, and had a lot of fun doing that, but had some good military skills we kind of pulled out of that. And we were actually teaching one of those classes when the aircraft slammed into the World Trade Center. So
What do you think about this September 11th?
it was unreal. We were there, being the Marine Corps pre 9/11, and the first 2 years I was in the Marine Corps, we were during peacetime, and we were training, but you're kind of training for everything, And then September 11th happened, and all of a sudden, it became very real.
How did your training change?
For me, it really didn't, because I was going through flight school at the time, and whether you're flying an aircraft in peacetime or in wartime, it didn't really change the way you did things, because you always do them per NATOPS and by the book. A lot of us kind of felt we felt like we weren't doing our part for some of it, because we're stuck there in flight school, and all of our buddies are getting ready to go start the ground war and wherever we're going to go into, and there was just so much uncertainty at the time. We actually, when 9/11 happened, they closed down all the bases and sent all of us home, and we had 5 of us living in the house at the time, and so we all went home. We're like, what does this even mean to us? Like, you couldn't talk to anybody. All the phone lines were down, and it was just 2 or 3 weeks of really not knowing anything. All of a sudden, we were doing gate guard at the Naval Hospital, and beefed up security all around the Pensacola area, and so we had a bunch of second lieutenants who don't know what they're doing, with a bunch of kids straight out of boot camp that don't know what they're doing, providing security around the Pensacola area. That's probably one of the more secure areas in the world, anyways. But it was interesting.
Did you have a choice of going into helicopters or fixed wing?
I did, and when going through flight school is kind of like TBS, where based off of your lineal standings on how well you do, you get your choice of what you want to do. And when we were going through primary, Jake Sonsel, Jay Martin, and I were all tied, and Jake and I both wanted helicopters, and Jay Martin really wanted jets, and the 3 of us got our first choice. When I thought I wanted to be a co-pilot until I met my first co-pilot, and I realized that he and my personalities are not the same. Going through the precision aerobatics section of flight school, I really wanted to be a jet guy, and then I went into the instrument part of it, and I realized that I don't do well sitting by myself for long periods of time. I have to talk, the concept of having a crew, as opposed to being by myself flying instruments, and especially straight and level flying along, that to me is about as boring as it gets, and it's like I'm not going to survive on that. And the number of instructors we had, that all the instructors come from the fleet, and they're like, you need to be in a helicopter, you need to be in a crew. You're one of those guys that your co-pilot and your crew chief, that's the family that you need. And sure enough, going through, I did well enough all the way through to have my first choice in every time we got to a decision point. And during flight school, I started dating my wife, and we got married right before I got winged. And my in-laws had already been to Japan back in the early 70s, and so Katie and I decided we wanted to do that, and we wanted to fly 46s in Okinawa, Japan. And right before I got winged, had good enough grades that I got my first choice, and went and flew helicopter in Okinawa, Japan for 5 years.
Did you have a solo flight?
We did.
Tell me about your solo.
So the flight portion of mine, when I did primary, you can either stay in Pensacola or you can move down to Corpus Christi. Yeah, and so I went down to Corpus Christi, Texas, and during the months of February and March, the weather in the Corpus Christi area just gets foggy and nasty, and so they moved a lot of the flight operations out to Las Cruces, New Mexico. And when I moved out there, actually I got a phone call. I was supposed to have a flight brief at noon for an instrument hop, and I got a phone call at about 6:50. Kind of a, where the hell are you? You missed your flight. It's like dead asleep in my rack. I was like, what? I had a noon brief. Like, no. You're supposed to be on a flight that just left to Las Cruces. get in here right now. The next flight leaves in 10 minutes. You better be on it. And so I went from dead asleep to showered, shaved, packed, and into base. And I go running in, and I got there just in time for the guy on duty. He's like, I don't know what you think you're doing. I don't know why you missed your flight. Run out there and see if they have room for you on the last plane. And so I go sprinting out there, and the XO of the Marine Training Group, one of the lieutenant colonels, was the instructor pilot for it. And I go running up there out of breath, like, sir, I think I was supposed to be on the earlier flight. Not sure what's going on. Do you have room for me? He's like, yes. Sent one of the guys to go grab my flight gear. He's like, you go back, get your bags, and meet here. Like, as soon as you're here, we're ready to go. Okay, sir. And so we all sprint every which way. And I come running back, and I hop onto the plane. And one of the guys looking at me is like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. I got a phone call. Like, I didn't expect to be here right now. And so sure enough, we flew out to Las Cruces, and we land, and I get all my gear together, and I go walking out, and my instructor pilot, Lieutenant Black, is walking out to instruct, and he looks at me and goes, what are you doing here? It's like, I don't know, sir. They told me I had to be here. It's like, no, you're not supposed to come out for another week. It's like, all right, well, I'm here. And so my whole training system got kind of messed up, and that happened to be February 5th, and I remember that because that happened to be my wife's birthday, and I was supposed to go have dinner with her that night, and it didn't work out so well.
February 5th of
2001.
2001, okay.
And, or no, 2002.
Okay.
And so...
Ever find out why they sent to Las Cruces?
Well, so Las Cruces has beautiful weather. And the guy that was on duty saw my instructor leave and saw that I wasn't on the plane, and made the assumption that if my instructor left, I was supposed to be with him. Where really I was supposed to be back in the Corpus Christi area going through a basic instrument syllabus. And I was supposed to have 3 more flights there before I went out to Corpus. But somebody saw my instructor, my on-wing leave, and knew that if he left, I was supposed to be with him, because I'm not supposed to go anywhere he doesn't go. And so I kind of screwed up a couple of training stuff, but it worked out great. And so I say all that because Las Cruces, it's kind of an unmanned airfield out in the middle of nowhere. And the training area is just kind of over the middle of the desert with some pretty good canyons going through there. And when completed all the first part of the syllabus, getting up to your pre-solo check flight, once you finish your check flight, then they launch you out on your solo. And Jay Martin and I were neck and neck the whole way through, and we both got our check flights done that morning, got signed off, and we rushed back out. They give us our aircraft, and we run out and get manned, and kind of have a race to the end of the runway to be the first one out. And it's kind of a point of pride, like whoever's the first one out, because whoever's the first one out gets the first choice of training areas. Mm-hmm. And so we race out and we get set up there, and the runway duty officer ends up pulling us all back there because the winds were out of limits, and so we had to.
Okay.
So we the winds were out of limits, so we had to bring our aircraft all the way back to the line and reset, and then the next day they launched us out, and the first time that you go out in solo, you had to do a couple takeoffs and landings at home field.
What aircraft are you in?
We're in a T-34, T-34 Charlie Turbo Mentor.
Okay. Now that's a fixed wing, isn't it?
It's a fixed wing,
right.
Tandem cockpit, sitting one in front of the other, with a turboprop aircraft, mm-hmm. Highly maneuverable, and just a lot of fun to fly.
Okay.
It's a Beechcraft aircraft, and it was the primary trainer in the Navy for decades.
Because I understand every helicopter pilot flies fixed wing, but not every fixed wing can fly a helicopter.
So going through flight school in the Navy, everybody, kind of like Marine Corps, everybody starts off at officer candidate school. Everybody starts off at basic school and then kind of splits out. for aviation, everybody starts off at API. Everybody goes to the same indoctrination, and then your first 120 hours, whatever, is all single engine, fixed wing aircraft, and you learn the basics of aerodynamics, basic of instrument flight, formations, all that kind of stuff, all the building blocks of naval aviation. You learn in that aircraft, and there you split up, and from there you either go, if you go helicopters, you all go down to Whiting Field and fly T-57s, which are like a Bell Jet Ranger, or you go maritime and go fly like C-12s, or you go jets and fly T-45s, I believe, and and so you kind of split up into the three basic areas, and it's not until you get your wings that you go and you fly your first gray aircraft. Yeah, all your helicopter guys fly.
When did you get your wings?
I got my wings January 31st, 2003.
Okay. Okay.
And I got promoted to first lieutenant on December 15th of 2002, and then got winged a month and a half later.
Okay.
So that's kind of big, because I got promoted, I got married, and then I got winged, and then I went out to Pendleton, and spent about 6 months learning how to fly the CH-46 Echo, which is at that point it was the workhorse of the Marine Corps. It was our medium lift helicopter, and it was the nucleus whenever we sent out an aviation detachment. The HMM, which was the squadrons that the 46 belonged to, were always the command element for whatever aviation combat element.
Is that a Boeing helicopter? Okay.
Boeing Bertol.
Yes. Okay.
Yep, made in Philadelphia. And came into service in '65. Was the main medium lift helicopter for the Marine Corps all the way through Vietnam.
What's the crew of the CH-46?
Pilot, co-pilot, and a crew chief. And if we're doing anything, if it was on goggles, doing shipboard operations, or doing any combat operations, we pulled in an AO. And so a lot of everything we did, we had a crew of 4. Min crew for just a basic instrument hopper, doing like a basic just cargo run or whatever would be a pilot, co-pilot, and a crew chief.
Okay. And you went to Okinawa?
We did. We did the training for the 46 in Pendleton at the airstrip right there in Pendleton, and then we went back over to Japan, and we're stationed with HMM 265 at Marine Corps Air Station Fatema.
So what'd you do in Okinawa?
We got there the first part of August, and when I checked into the unit, they were already attached to the 31st MU, Marine Expeditionary Unit, and we got there the first part of August, and the first part of September, the squadron deployed with the 31st MU on the USS Essex, and that started for the 5 years I was on island. We spent 4 of those with the 31st MU, and during that 5-year period, we did 7 cycles deploying with the 31st MU.
Now, what's a cycle? 7 cycles.
So most MUs, like East Coast or West Coast, when you're at Camp Lejeune or in Pendleton, your MU cycle, you check in, you build up, and like the aviation combat element, the ACE, would be centered around a HMM, and so you'd have 12 CH-46s and the 26 pilots that come with that squadron, and all the Marines and maintainers and everything else, and then you'd attach 4 CH-53 Echoes and 4 AH-1 Cobras and 4 UH-1 Hueys, and then 6 AV-8Bs, the Harriers. And so you go from a squadron of about 200 folks to an aviation combat element of about 450 folks. And then that gave you the ability that whatever the MU needed to support, whether it was cargo, whether it was combat operations, whether it was air interdiction, the basic assault support or whatever we needed to do, you had the components there that you could send out the flights as needed. And the MU had a bunch of missions that you had to be qualified on, and you had to be able to piecemeal them out, I guess. And so your typical MU cycle, you get everybody consolidated, and you become a reinforced squadron, and you go composite, we call it, and then you spend 6 months doing workups, and you go through and you train for every one of those combat operations, and you practice doing tactical recovery of aircraft and personnel. You go out and do an airfield seizure. You do urban operations, and you can do all those, and then you do the deployment, and you'll get on the boat and you'll go spend 6 months floating around doing whatever. Well, Okinawa is weird because everybody there is already forward deployed, and the 46s were located on Japan. Everybody else came out to us from the States, and they came out UDP, Unit Deployment Program, and so their whole squadron would come out for 6 months and have a presence in Japan, and then from that unit they would send us small detachments, and so you'd have it for 6 months, and then they would all rotate back to the States, and we would get a whole new group. And so really the HMM core, we stayed there, and everybody else kind of rotated in and out, and so every 6 months we would get new people. You never really have a chance to do a full workup, because by the time you get the workup done, they're gone and somebody else is showing up, and so they counted every 6 months as a cycle, and like the first 6 months we were there, we spent 2.5 months on the ship, and we went out and did a bunch of bilateral training exercises with various countries, and kind of floated through the whole Pacific Rim, and you spent every cycle you were spent at least a couple weeks up in South Korea. You spent some time down the Philippines. A lot of times you would go over to Thailand and work with the Thais, and then if you had a chance, you get down to Indonesia and Australia. And out of the 7 cycles we spent, we got 3 of them down in Australia, and it seemed like you're always in Korea and the Philippines, just kind of having a presence to kind of keep all that under control. And then one of those cycles, we went over to Iraq.
Okay. When you were in Thailand, Australia, this area, what kind of missions were you flying?
We did some that was just strictly squadron training, because like I said, I checked into the unit, and when I got to the unit, I was a basic 46 helicopter pilot, and then they have to go through and teach you all the mission skills, low altitude tactics, defensive maneuvers, how to employ the door guns, and then all the intricate details of basic assault support, how to count for all the passengers and cargo, and make sure that you have the weight capacity to do it, and you can maintain accountability of everybody kind of flowing through there, and the basic logistics of just getting people from point A to point B, and making sure that you have the power to do it and you don't run out of gas in the process. Took quite a bit of effort, and so we would do a lot of those training exercises as we were kind of moving through the area, and working with the Koreans. We worked with them as far as like large flight leadership and integration, making sure that that all of our assets from the infantry on up through the aviation combat element could work together. So like we would take part of our infantry and part of their infantry and go put them into a training area so that they could do maneuvers together. And the all of our elements would kind of work with the local militaries. And then we'd also make sure that our aviation assets could interact with their aviation, so that at that point they had a bunch of Sikorsky 60s, and so they could fly and we could fly, and be able to maneuver together to support whatever operation. So that the bilateral training, and we did that with the fills and the ties as well.
The Sikorsky, is that the Black Hawk?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They owned a bunch of those. They had a number of different aircraft, but the units we worked with, we were based out of Pohang, and the other aviation units there at Pohang, the majority of them were Black Hawk units also.
When you were in these countries, do you have any contact with the local people in Korea, Australia?
We worked hand in hand with their militaries, and then the Navy and Marine Corps, we don't really go anywhere without having the social side of life, and so we'd always get a port call, and interact with the locals, kind of on a 3-day liberty period, and it gave us a chance to refit and refurbish the ship, and take on all the supplies and everything else, and then and while they were doing that, we would all go out and blow off steam and go interact with the locals.
What ship were you aboard?
I spent the majority of the time on the USS Essex, which was a LHD class ship, LHD-2. And then our amphibious readiness group, we had the Essex was the flagship, and then we had a couple of LPD and LSD support ships, and usually we had the LPD-7 or LPD-10, the Juno, and then the Fort McHenry and Harper's Ferry, and I can't remember, it's a couple other LSD class ships, and they kind of rotate a little bit through there. But yeah, we spent the majority of our time on the Essex, and then we would cross deck over to the Juno, and could operate off the small deck sometimes.
Now, what was the reaction of people in Australia to you?
Oh, they loved us. The first port call we got when I was there, we went down to Darwin, Australia, and we pulled in on a Saturday evening, and they did shipboard stuff as far as unloading fuel and food and all that kind of stuff, and we didn't really get libo that night, and I ended up being on duty, and the first time I got duty got libo was Sunday morning, and one of my buddies and I were like, oh, we'll head out as soon as we get first libo call, and I think the bell sounded maybe like 7 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and thinking that we're just going to walk out into Darwin, Australia, which is a fairly small city, and expect it to kind of be like a ghost town on a Sunday morning. There's not a whole lot going on. That town rolled out the red carpet for us. The Chamber of Commerce, whatever they call it, had buses that they chartered, and they ran us a libo route from the port into to the city, and the city buses. If we showed our military ID, they just would let us on the city buses, and a number of the local establishments were wide open on Sunday morning, realizing they have 3,000 extra people rolling through there, and you kind of walk in expecting that everybody there is to make a dime off you, and you kind of walk in expecting like panhandlers and peddlers and whatever else, and Thailand and Australia both. It seemed like whenever you walked in there, that they were excited to have you there, that they were excited to interact with you, and that they're just there to have fun. They made money, obviously, but the majority of them would open it up, and one group did a like a pancake breakfast type thing, and just raising funds or whatever, but you know, it was like a interaction with the locals, like, hey, come on in, join us, and had a lot of fun.
Iraq.
We got the warning order. May of 2004, and trying to figure out the employment of the 31st MEU. The warning order we got was that the 31st MEU is going to go be the theater reserve. At that point, Al-Fajr was starting to be in the planning stages, which is the battle for Fallujah, and they were looking to pull us in there with everything else going on. This is about OIF 2 time frame, kind of getting into it, and with the turnover, they expected us to go in there, be the theater reserve, and they expected us to be on station from September until November, home for Christmas type thing, and excuse me, so we got the warning order. We ended up deploying the middle of August, and got on the ship. We got delayed on the front side with an aviation mishap. We put a 53 Delta, had a tail rotor come apart on it, and put it inside of the American University 2 days before we were supposed to get on the boat. And then we had a typhoon come through, and so as the ship was in port at White Beach on Okinawa, we had a typhoon come through. We finished up the onload. We pulled out of port. We did the fly on, and then the ship actually sailed north to go around a typhoon, to come south to go between 2 typhoons, and so the initial 2 weeks. We spent a lot of time going gunwale to gunwale on the ocean with those big flat bottom boats, and kind of cutting between 2 typhoons. Never saw a ship with more people seasick on it than that.
Are you still on the Essex?
Still on the Essex, and at one point, a couple of my buddies, BJ DeBarlaven and Josh Frazier, we go up on the bridge, and for whatever reason, the senior person on the bridge was a petty officer second class, and gave us permission to come up on the bridge, and we're sitting there looking at it, and the Essex, which LHD class ship's not a small ship, the flight deck's about 65 feet off the water, and it's about 850 feet by 125 feet wide, something like that. Pretty good sized boat, and we're watching it go through, and as it's going down the waves were crashing over the bow of the ship, and the water would just run about halfway down to the superstructure, and then roll off the side. And we look over, and the small decks are going catwalk to catwalk, and just getting beat up. And we got through the typhoon, ended up kind of on the west side of the Philippines, and the seas calmed out, and then floated through the Indian Ocean, and I've never been in a darker patch of water than that. Walking out doing integrity watch on the flight deck, it almost felt like your flashlight couldn't cut through the darkness to get on the floor of it, and like you just felt like you're in a black abyss, and like you stood there and look up, like you could see every star in the sky. It was just absolutely gorgeous, and went through the Straits of Hormuz and into the Persian Gulf, and we got there the first part of September, and we went ashore in Kuwait to Udari Army Airfield, and had a 2-week training package to practice all the theater requirements, and brush up on all of our aviation skills to make sure that we had all the proficiency that we needed, and so we spent 2 weeks learning that. First time I've ever flown in 140 degree Fahrenheit weather, and it just sucked the air right out of you. Mm-hmm. And the practice desert landings. At that point, being in Okinawa, you really don't do desert landings, and so we spent a lot of time going out there and just landing in the sand. And did 2 weeks training, and they're doing the build up for Fallujah, and the process as we went through. The infantry did all their ranges and all that kind of stuff, and we went through and kind of started getting the prep instead of going back onto the ship to push into Iraq, and the theater commander really wanted our infantry, and Colonel Miller, who was the MUCO, didn't want his infantry pulled from him because he knew that as soon as they pulled the infantry from him, that he was no longer a MU, and that we no longer could do any of our core skills, and so he kind of fought to maintain a MU integrity, and kind of went back and forth, and we got the word that the whole MU was pushing up to Iraq, and so it was like second week in September, maybe second or third week in September. We left Udari and pushed up to Al-Assad, and based out of Al-Assad, Iraq for the next 6.5 months. We were there. We provided general support to the MAW and the COCON commanders, and then we retained the basic combat commander through the 31st MU.
Okay. What'd you do in Iraq?
We did a lot of general support. We did a lot of what we called milk runs. A lot of times you get your tasking, and the way our squadron operated, we kind of maintained combat crews, and so I always knew I was flying with Dave Rooney, and the majority of the time it was Dave Rooney as my aircraft commander, and then Jimmy Edgar and Jose Blancas as my crew, and so the 4 of us flew together, and we got to the point where there wasn't a whole lot of communications we needed to do because we knew how each other was going to operate, and we get our tasking. We got into work that night, and the majority of it was nighttime operations, and you'd kind of fly base to base to base to base, carrying people and goods all around the area, and you kind of have a run sheet with who you're supposed to pick up and where they were going to go to, and you kind of work through the general flow of people, make sure you had enough seats all the way through, and that was the majority of what our flights were. Were nighttime flights, just kind of flying people and stuff through all the bases. Usually kind of start in Al-Assad, kind of work your way through Aramati, Blue Diamond, TQ, if you had to go through Abu Ghraib to drop people off, and then make your way into to Baghdad, and either go to Baghdad International or Camp Victory, or I can't remember what the other one was there, and then work your way back, and then Al-Fajr kicked off, and we kind of did all of our focus, getting stuff in and out of Fallujah and Al-Taqaddum and Al-Ramadi, and then at that point we kind of peeled off. 31st MU took over, at least parts of us did, Korean Village, which is a little outpost from Al-Assad. If you went on west, we had down towards the Jordanian Syrian border, we had Korean Village, and then up north of there, if you kind of follow the MSR out by Euphrates River, it kind of pop across at Al-Qaim, and so we ended up putting some of our Hughes and Cobras at Al-Qaim, and we put the 46s and a couple Cobras from one of the other units at Korean Village, and we kind of maintained a presence down there, which kind of gave us the flexibility for a QRF along the quick reaction force along the main roads, and that's where the roads kind of came in from Syria and Jordan, and then came to an intersection and went past the town of Aruba, and then that flowed into Baghdad, and so kind of giving a presence for a quick reaction force for any folks coming in and out of there, and then we did the resupply at the border crossings there, because there was a Marine Corps presence with the Iraqis at both borders, and I got sent out there. Maybe in October, and kind of was there in and on and off for the next 3 months, and then the over Christmas we did Operation North Pole, which we pushed the majority of our assets. We kind of pulled everybody back to Assad and refit and refurbish, and then the problem they had out at Al Qaim was where the river was. There was only 2 bridges that cut across, and one of the sheiks on the north side was harboring a lot of the Mujahideen fighters, and every time they'd send out a patrol to go look at his residence and to interact with them, it gave them a warning that they're coming, because there's only 2 bridges, so it wasn't hard to have a sentry out there and be like, hey, they're coming, so we ended up launching a huge package. It's funny because the combatant commander was like, we really need to do this. And all the other commanders that were there at the time all fell underneath 3rd MAW. They're like, nope, can't do that. It's too risky. And Lieutenant Colonel Glavy was our squadron CO. He's like, I can do that. I got everything I need. And out of all the assets they needed, the only thing we didn't have was F-18s. And he was like, if somebody will give me those, I got it. And one of their guys in the room was like, you don't have the authority to do that. And Glavy's like, actually I do. And Colonel Miller, who's the MUCO, is in the room. He's like, sir, do you mind if we do this? And he goes, yes, if you use my infantry, you got it all day long. And the general was like, all right, sounds like a problem solved. And so we got Operation North Pole, and we did the planning for it, and the landing zone was fairly small, and we ended up having multiple waves, but it ended up being something like 846s, 453s, and then we had Hueys and Cobras providing an overwatch, and then had Harriers providing the ISR, the surveillance role, so that they had a feed back to the command element, and F-18s in the overhead in case we needed any close air support that the Huey and the Cobras could provide. And we launched it out of Al Qaim, and so a couple people came up from Korean Village. We came in from Al Assad, and it was Operation North Pole. It was right around Christmas time, and we launched, did 3 waves, because we'd only land 4 aircraft at a time right there, and so by the time I was in the second wave, by the time we were landing, flashbang grenades were going off at the Sheik's house, and all the infantry was going through there, and then we inserted all the infantry and all the interpreters and everything else. Went back, refueled at Al Qaim, and then came back and did the extraction, and pulled out a handful of Mujahideen, and actually was able to make a dent in the flow of the freedom fighters coming in from Syria, and that kind of led up. That was in December, and that kind of led up. We're kind of making a show of force at that point to get ready for the first free elections in January of 2005, and I think that was the end of January. So they ended up like shutting down all the bases. We could move stuff around by air, and that was about it. And we were down in Korean Village again at that time, and we supported the election in Aruba. And so like the day of the election, we were providing QRF flying overhead with maybe 12 QRF folks in the back, which is just an officer and his kind of not quite a squad, and flew around the the area so that if any other ground units, LAR was out on the deck there, and working with the local Iraqis to kind of maintain stability in the area. And then we hauled the ballots partly from there back into to Baghdad, and I had a chance to see all the Iraqis sitting there with their purple thumbs, and supported the election, and then started doing the retrograde.
Now, what part of Iraq was this Operation North Pole and all that? Is it?
So North Pole was out in Al-Qaim, which is all the Marine Corps at that time owned the Al Anbar region, which was pretty much from Abu Ghraib, Al Taqaddum area west.
Now, is that northern, southern Iraq, or
It was kind of like Central West.
central west? Okay.
And at that point, that was the Wild West. It was originally counted as untamable, and the Army owned everything else, and so they spent a lot of time Basra and Tikrit and all that kind of stuff, and then Baghdad was kind of a joint, and then on south was back into Army territory, and then we had all the western stuff.
Okay.
And so we spent a lot of time Haditha Dam, Fallujah, Abu Ghraib we owned, hit Aruba down south, and we're able to engage the locals enough that over the span of 5 or 6 years, that became some of the most secure area in the whole country.
What was the reaction of the local people to you in Iraq?
I didn't interact with the Iraqis too often. We flew over top of them, and we would land like on the highway and shut down traffic and do like vehicle searches and that kind of stuff. But the majority of my interaction was all behind the scenes. It was flying support, providing overwatch and security and that kind of stuff. So I didn't interact with the Iraqis like if you're on a ground convoy or something like that, where you're like face to face with them. I flew the Iraqi forces around. The majority of the Iraqis I flew around were actually Syrian and Jordanian, the Mujahideen. We flew the prisoners around. We'd fly them in and out of Abu Ghraib, but we never really.
Okay.
We didn't interact so much with the locals on a face-to-face basis. It was always second and third order offenses.
And we were flying around. Never come under fire?
Yeah, one of the worst phone calls I made to Katie was when I had to admit that I was like, I did do one of the goals I had. I didn't meet it for Iraq, and actually coming out of the operating base at Fallujah, we had heavy machine gun fire split the section going through there, and we had a number of like pot shots and stuff taken at us, but the majority of it was they didn't really have night sights at that time, and so they kind of fired the general direction, but not necessarily a pinpoint location. And some majority of our flying was at night, so we kind of defeat some of that.
How long were you in Iraq?
We were in country for about 6.5 months, and then had about a month on the front side and back side of the transit and build up in country, and then the retrograde and the float home.
What's your most vivid memory of Iraq?
I have a lot of vivid memories. The whole time, kind of one of those things that you kind of forget a lot of the nitty details, and the lasting memories are kind of the ones where the people we were with out there, and the flying we did, and like you'll never forget the smells. A number of the Mujahideen freedom fighters, whenever you bring them on as POWs, moving them around the country, they had a very distinct smell to them. different dirts in the areas. When you land there, you'd smell the dirt as you kind of kick it up, and the like that's just kind of something that's ingrained in you. Every once in a while, walking through like a farm field or something like that, you'll have a smell like, oh, this smells like Korean Village, or this smells like Al-Qaim area. And the combat crew we flew with, like, I'll never forget those guys. Dave Rooney and Jimmy Edgar and Jose Blancas. Yeah, I don't know what the most vivid memory of all that was. I did my my aircraft commander check while we were there, and my initial my cherry flight as an aircraft commander, I was in country there, and Josh Fraser was my co-pilot. I was his co-pilot for his cherry, and he was my co-pilot for my cherry. And
Now, what do you mean cherry?
so your first flight as the aircraft commander is your cherry tack ride,
Okay.
and or hack ride. And for us, that's bigger than the solo, because you're responsible for several $1 million aircraft plus whoever you had in there. And for us, it was cool because most people get it. You get your crew of your co-pilot and your crew chief, and here, go take the aircraft out for a couple hours in North Carolina. Whereas we got it, we're like, here you go, here's your keys to your aircraft, and oh, by the way, you're -2 of a combat section with loaded 50 cals pointing out the windows. And we on that night, Cooter, Staff Sergeant Connor was the crew chief, and I think Lieutenant Colonel Glavy put him with us because he trusted him to be the adult of the group. But we did the run through, and so you start off the night hitting the test fire areas, firing off the 50 cals, and you're like, this is pretty cool. And then we flew around and landed all the bases around there. And then the night ended. We had swung through Altacottum, and we were a little bit heavier than we expected to be. And our next stop was Blue Diamond, and we had Blue Diamond and Armada, which are like right across the river from each other. And we had to go to the Blue Diamond and pick it up. And the one person we had to pick up at Blue Diamond was the squadron commander, Lieutenant Colonel Glavy. And he hops on the back of the aircraft, and it's a freezing night, and he just has that look when he walks on the aircraft that he's already cold and miserable and tired, and it's been a long day. And this is probably, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning. And he hops in the back of the aircraft, and Josh and I, we were peers the whole way through. We go to take off, we pick up, and we realize as we pull power that we are heavy. And so we start to climb out, and like the trees aren't getting any smaller, and we're pulling torque horns. And at that point, we had a analog engine management system, which gave you the option to flip it off, which would increase your rotor speed, which increases the power available in the system. And as we're flying out of there, I make the call. I'm like, Josh, these trees aren't getting any smaller. And he's like, we don't have any more power. And so we kick it off, and you can hear the whole aircraft just kind of spool up a little bit more, kind of, and instantly we know that Glavy knows what we just did. And the only time you do that is when you're not quite in the parameters you expect to be. And Cooter's like, no, I think we're good. And we land at the we swing around, land at Armada, and rejoin up as the section. And we're sitting there looking at each other like, I'm waiting for Glavy to pop up into the cockpit and start chewing us out for not flying the aircraft we were supposed to. And never said a word about it. We got back, we landed at Al Assad, and uneventful flight as far as he was concerned, and expected, but never got the butt chewing that we expected. But
So from Iraq, where'd you go?
Iraq, we came back to to Okinawa. Had a port call on the backside in Phuket, Thailand, and while we were in Iraq is when the tsunami hit Thailand and Burma and kind of on that coast. And so while we were in Iraq, the Essex and a couple other ships actually sailed and went and did tsunami relief with one of the other squadrons that was on Okinawa. They flew out and met them and then operated. And so it's kind of funny for us because we had left a bunch of our stuff on the boat because we were all going into Iraq or Kuwait for 2 weeks training. And so we had all of our stuff on the ship. And so we come back, we expect to see all of our stuff pilfered and everything else. And they went and did the tsunami relief and came back, and we got back on the ship and all of our stuff was still there. So that's kind of a big celebration. But yeah, we came back, had a port call in Phuket. Had a bunch of the families kind of fly in there and had some time, maybe like 4 or 5 days, just downtime. And then went back to Okinawa.
So from Okinawa, where'd you go?
Stayed there.
You stayed there. Okay.
Yeah, we ended up living in Okinawa for 5 years.
Okay. How long were you in the Marines?
20 years.
20 years. Okay. So you were on Okinawa the rest of the time?
No, I finished up my 5 years in Okinawa, and during that time I got all the instructor quals that I could. Ended up going through weapons and tactics instructor course in Yuma, Arizona, and then from there got selected to go to Expeditionary Warfare School, which is the captain's level PME, and spent 9 months in Quantico again doing that, and then put in an application and got accepted to go to HMX1, and HMX1 is the HMX1.
HMX1?
Yeah, which is the Marine 1 Squadron.
Okay.
So we did presidential support.
Oh.
And so we rolled in there as a 46 pilot.
Let's see if I can pull this phone off.
Yeah, so we got selected to go to HMX1, which is the Marine 1 Squadron, and went and actually had orders for 4 years. Got pulled in for 5 years. We were there when the fleet at that point needed the CH-43s more than we needed, so we pushed them all out to the fleet and pulled in all 46s.
What's the CH-43?
The CH-53 is the big
53. Okay.
which is the big heavy lift helicopter we have.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
And the HMX-1 didn't really need heavy lift aircraft so much, and so we pushed those all out to the fleet and pulled in more 46s. And so I stayed in quality assurance to kind of do the transition of all the maintainers, and then on the backside we got rid of all the 46s and pulled in the V-22, the Osprey, and so I stayed on for a 5th year to do the transition, and actually became a co-pilot to the V-22, and was there to pull the Osprey into that helicopter role, because it's a fixed-wing aircraft that can take off and land like a helicopter, and making it fit the mission that we had at Marine One was kind of the gave me the opportunity, I guess, to stay on there as a 5th year pilot. Okay. And spent 5 years underneath the Obama administration, and I kind of supported him everywhere he goes. A helicopter goes with him, and so we always had people all over the world kind of supporting.
Mm-hmm. And when did you retire?
I retired. Well, my official retirement date is coming up 1 March 2019, so I'm on terminal leave right now.
Okay. Okay. So you're officially still in the Marines.
Officially.
Okay. Okay.
Still drawing a paycheck and just not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I spent after I did HMX1, I spent 4 years with BMM 261, which is a V-22 squadron in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Would you join the Marines again?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I'd like to do a word association. I'll give you some words and you give me your reaction. The first one is boot camp.
I don't know how to do boot camp again. Stress. I'd say stress. Stress or chaos.
Combat engineer.
Oh, glorious.
OCS.
Another chaos.
Okinawa.
Beautiful.
Flight school.
Fun.
CH-46.
God's Chariot.
USS Essex.
I can't say that on tape. No, the Essex was good. It's Groundhog Day. Every day is a Tuesday.
Why?
Because if it's a Monday, it means that you just got off a weekend, and you never had a weekend there. And like Wednesday or Thursday, you're looking forward to Friday for an upcoming. There's always a Tuesday.
Okay.
The number of times that, especially if you're in a busy role, and you have a whatever operation going on, or just a lot of planning exercise or whatever, you could spend a week and not go outside the skin of the ship. And when you walk out of the main passageways, either it'd be white lights or it'd be red lights, so you know if it's daytime or nighttime. But other than that, like, time doesn't mean anything, days don't mean anything. It kind of got to the point where, like, somebody would tell you, like, oh yeah, we're about 10 days out from going home. Like, oh, cool. I have no clue what month it is. None of that means anything. Literally, the time on your watch, they would give whistles and bells, and so you kind of knew when it was time to go eat chow. And other than that, really, either you're getting ready to go fly or you're getting ready to go do planning or whatever. Like, it was just always Tuesday.
Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, he's gone. Seeing the hope in the people's eyes once he was gone, that was validity enough for everything we did over in Iraq. The local populace, like, they validated it because he was such an evil dictator. His sons were just vile people, and the Iraqis are the ones that paid the price for it.
Iraq.
Hope.
George Bush.
Hero.
Barack Obama.
Interesting.
Donald Trump.
He's exactly what we need.
I'm sorry?
He's exactly what we need.
How do you want to be remembered?
I don't know that I do. The time in the Marine Corps is never about me. And so much of life isn't about me, it's about everybody around you. And I think whether you have a legacy or not, I think the legacy is really what the group accomplished.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. Any other questions you have?
Where'd you meet your wife?
I met her in college.
Here at OW?
Yeah, actually in this house right here, in the pool here. My sister and her sister were roommates their sophomore year, which was my freshman year, which was her senior in high school. And so her mom invited my roommate and I and a couple other guys, and brought us over for dinner and gave us use of their pool. And I became really good friends with their family, and then remained good friends with their folks all the way through. And like I say, they were in Japan back in the early '70s in the Army, and so they're excited when I enlisted and went over there as a combat engineer. And then in flight school, her dad invited me down. I was in Corpus Christi, and they were all going to San Antonio for Thanksgiving, and invited me over, and kind of reconnected with them, and reconnected with Katie, and started dating shortly thereafter. And put all the pieces together to get married before I got orders out of flight school. So we got married just over a month before I got winged, and had accompanied orders to Okinawa, Japan. So the first time we ever set up a house together was in base housing on Camp Foster in Okinawa.
Well, sir, this is an excellent interview. I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
Well, thank you.
And again, this is December 26th, 2018. My name is Joe Todd. This has been an interview with Scott Harris in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Thank you. That's it.